Now, I'd like to show you a little bit of academic work. I'm a university lecturer, despite the casual clothes today. It's a lovely day in London. These are three of my colleagues, very, very clever people. They came up with something PPM, Project Program Management Strategic Advantage. It sounds boring. But what they said was it's existing research. There's 5 levels of change competence. Basically, level 1 is idiots running around with mobile phones shouting, no real planning. Level 2, some bits of the organisation understand that they have to plan and are quite disciplined, but the rest of the organisation think they're fools. Level 3, normally the organisation has had a complete project or change failure, heads have rolled, and someone has said we need to have a common method for doing change in our organisation. Level 4, yes, we've got a common way of doing things, but hey, we know when we can drop it or change it or modify it. Rules are for the guidance of wise men and the adherence of idiots. In other words, we can have choice, we can use judgment, we can adapt to a changed circumstance. Level 5, change is our business. We are so good at it that it is our business. We are disruptors. Ask yourself where your own organisation is on that. But what these academics did was, fine, change is change, but what's your strategy? How do all these changes link to the strategy? Now, they said, if you've got a level 1 organisation, please don't even waste your time using the word strategy. You can't have a strategy. You've just got people with mobile phones screaming at each other. That's not a strategy. You might be quite successful, but one day it all goes wrong and you go bankrupt. Level 2, again, quite honestly, don't talk about strategy because your organisation is fairly chaotic. You're existing from week to week, from deal to deal. Level 3, quite honestly, you're not heading towards a strategy, but at least now you're beginning to get some level of control whereby you actually know what you're doing wrong, so you might be able to now move forward. Level 4, you can talk about strategy. Now you actually have a culture, an organisation which can talk about strategy. And level 5, it is your strategy, changes your strategy. Now, this is fairly common sense, but what they found, which I found interesting, was this. They found that there was a barrier to move from 3 to 4. It was not about more and more paperwork or process, which was surprising. Everyone thought process is good, it moves you on. Well, it does, but at level 3 into 4, you've got to do other things apart from process. What you've got to do is move from project management into project leadership. And largely that's what we're now seeing with the COVID. We're moving from management to leadership, and then hopefully we can then go back to management. Let me explain. I am not knocking process, by the way. Whatever course you want to go on, Prince 2, PMI, APM, methodological process, great. I love process. But it isn't going to move you into 4 and 5 unless you start thinking about leadership. This is the Association of Project Managers, of which I am a fellow. Now, they produced a report late in 2018, which I was surprised that they even published, because it kind of undermines everything they've been saying for almost 20 years. I will read it out. Simply because a lot of people say I edit this. I don't. You can download it yourselves. The skills required of a project leader, change leader, same thing, are very different from the skills developed for project management. Leadership is about the future, setting director, dealing with people, working outside the project with stakeholders, whereas many aspects of project management are inward-looking and backward-looking, building an oil platform, building a building. Project leaders have to let go of many, if not all, of their project management activities. So to become a project leader can, for some, be a difficult transition. And I see that a lot. Old-style change leaders not being able to deal with basically the reality that we now have, including COVID-19. Project leadership is different to general leadership. Besides the pace of change, project leaders have to deal with creating, organising, developing, dispersing the project team and the project organisation. Project leaders have in many respects much greater autonomy than people realise. And I always say, ask for forgiveness, not permission. They operate in a far more unstable, volatile, what we call VUCA environment, and have to make fast judgment calls in ambiguous situations. Although many project leadership skills overlap with general leadership skills, we've concluded that simply developing general leadership skills is insufficient preparation for developing the leadership needed for major, complex projects like COVID-19. There has been an overemphasis on project management skills in many of the competency frameworks we have seen, which most consultants say this is the way to do it. I'm not knocking it, but hey, sometimes it's not. Although this is changing, greater emphasis needs to be placed on developing our understanding of project skills. And what they talked about was more leadership, better communication, more judgment, adaptability, resilience, less management, and more empathy. The C.A.R.E model, if you like, from the APM. Compliance. I love compliance, but it's gone too far. The pendulum, in my view, has gone way too far. Dalai Lama. Know the rules well, and then you can break them more effectively. Now, I'm not saying chaos. What I'm saying is the world has got too compliance bound, and we're losing creativity and the confidence to move forward. Lots of books out of this at the moment. Rebel Talent, Breaking the Rules. People are beginning to realize it's gone too far. We don't want to go back to the other end because then we'd have the banking crisis of 2008, but it's gone too far. If you look at this famous incident of the guy who landed the plane on the River Hudson after the engines failed, he broke the rules. Afterwards, they tried to blame him for the accident. Watch the film, Sully, Tom Hanks, very good film. But you'll see in the film, they try and blame the pilot. It wasn't the pilot, it was the system. It was an accident that no one expected to happen. But if he'd obeyed all of the rules, the standard operating procedures, everyone would have died. He used his judgment. He changed the rules. And that's okay if you have the experience and the judgment to do that. This guy again, Eddie, he talked about learned helplessness. Go on YouTube, watch his video. He does it better than me. But he talked about some monkeys in an experiment whereby they were in a cage and then bananas were lowered down. They got up, eat the bananas. Life was good. But then suddenly one day, as they reached for the bananas, cold water poured all over them. And every time a monkey went up, not only did the monkey get wet, but all of the other monkeys. Then what they did was they took one of the monkeys and put in a new monkey. And the new monkey, the bananas came down. I'll eat the bananas. And the other monkeys were screaming, no, 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 don't do that. Why not? We'll all get covered in water. Well, I've never got covered in water, said the new monkey. He went up the steps and got covered in water, and all of the other monkeys. One by one, they changed out all of the monkeys until none of the original monkeys were there, and none of the monkeys in the cage had ever been sprayed with water, but they'd all heard that you got sprayed with water. And when they put in the new monkeys, not a single monkey went up the steps, even though the bananas were there, because they were too scared of the water. And this is what we call learned helplessness. I see it a lot in organizations where people say, I could help, I could make a difference, but what's the point? The paperwork, the bureaucracy, the governance is just too much. I'm overmanaged. Look, just tell me what to do. And that's bad. We need creativity. A lot of companies now, I think, are going to go the wrong way. Because of the horror of COVID, they're going to say we need more compliance, more governance. And in fact, some of them are very big. I see the banks at the moment, but they're going to end up as dinosaurs. Big, very dangerous, very successful. But then one day, they will be no more. They will become extinct because they move too slow and they have too small brains.